We're getting a
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
Hey guys, what's up? It's a Friday. Wait, no, it's not. It's a fucking Wednesday. Bill,
it's a
I'm so sorry,
yeah, it's a
guys.
Wednesday.
It's we're a bit laggy or not laggy. It's just today's gonna be a slight mess because I'm in control of behind the scenes stuff, and it's I'll tell you what. A lot of props for the rest of the guys, Eugene and Alvin, who do this weekly. This is a bit much.
Yep. And yeah, I have not had dinner yet, so this is going to be a very interesting night. I have ordered 40 chicken nuggets because I need to not be hungover tomorrow morning because I have a very early interview tomorrow. So need
And
to not be hungover for that.
And Bill's gonna say a lot of likes, so I'm gonna crack open my beer because I'm gonna need it tonight too. Tonight I'm still
Yeah.
drinking the same thing, the Heineken Silver.
Well, Kirin and then Anchor for me to skull.
The skull, bruh.
Just
All right.
skull it for tonight.
Yeah, I mean you gotta skull it probably later on, but well, what's tonight? What are we doing today, Bill?
Well, we are going to be talking about parallel universes. It is a very, very interesting topic. It is one I was not expecting to be talking about this early on because, quite frankly, I thought we were going to do UFOs or we're going to do like Loch Ness monsters or we're going to do some other weird and wacky, like cryptids, but like parallel universes.
Parallel uteruses.
Very science accepted now. Extremely like in geez, again.
We're gonna have
already.
We're gonna have a lot of
science accepted right now.
a lot of likes tonight. But let's say hi before we move on to something. We'll see the clerk. The clerk says you're always around. What's up? I see KK Hing. Good evening to you guys. Hi Finn. Oh wait, that's you, Bill. Okay.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. Don't
KK
say hi to
Hing.
me.
KK Hing said he had the same Kirin beer last Saturday. How is that
Excellent.
beer?
Kirin beer is amazing. If we can get a sponsor for that, hop on that.
I mean, we'll try to get a. We're trying to get a sponsor. I mean, you guys saw beer on the other shows. We got to have our own one, and then for
I mean,
each
that's
different
why
episode,
I'm drinking 2 different brands of beer, double the chances of getting a
we should
sponsor.
we should just have our own craft, like a craft supernatural. What's it called? Cryptid beer, like Sasquatch beer, um, the Kraken beer. Oh, Finn's actually Orange Freak on YouTube. I see.
Oh wow, nice.
The
Well,
clerk, the clerk also asked you, by the way, what interview do you have?
I have an interview with DBS.
He's got a job coming up.
Yes,
Wh-
because of the current. Well, I would say the current economy has nothing to do with it. It's just the nature of starting your own business. In the beginning, there's heaps of ups and downs, and so far as I found that the downs mean that I can't pay myself.
You gotta pay the bills. Gotta
Well,
pay
I
the
got to pay
bills.
the bills, and I got to pay the staff first. My
Oh,
staff
that's
first.
true. That's also true. I completely forgot about that you had staff.
Yeah.
Right.
So the
What?
confessors on cryptids.
Yeah,
Well,
we gotta get some good beer going.
oh yeah. I believe Brewdog had some cryptid beers at one point. I don't know if they still do them.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, back to tonight's topic.
Yes.
Like Bill was saying, I was very surprised that this came up so early in the show because there were so many other options. Like if you look in the Discord channel, you have people constantly talking about what's it called? UFOs, weird stuff. But when I posted on Facebook, man, like I'm pretty sure aliens was one of the options there, but nobody chose it. I think the second best one was I can't remember actually, but parallel universes, man.
Yeah.
Should we play the video, or do you want to give a background first? Oh,
I think we should play the video.
okay.
And to Wes SA from Facebook, think about this. In a parallel universe, I could be interviewing for Deutsche Bank.
All right, let's try to get this.
Everyone loves the idea of parallel universes. Maybe it's the appeal of an ideal world where you have second chances and things turn out differently. An alternate reality where you do get into Hogwarts and the Star Wars prequels aren't made and you finally plug in your asymmetric computer code correctly on the first try. But is there really a place in science for such wistful speculation? I mean, if the universe is everything that there is, you can't have two versions of it, right? Otherwise, the pair would really be everything, and what you started off calling the universe wasn't. The problem here is terminology. Physicists speaking informally often say universe when they really mean observable universe. That is, the part of the whole universe that we've so far been able to see. And it's perfectly fine to talk about multiple different observable universes. For example, an alien near the edge of our observable universe will see parts of the whole universe that we can't yet see because the light hasn't had time to reach us yet. But that's a well-understood question and not what physicists normally talk about when they discuss multiple observable universes or multiverses. So let's cut to the chase. In physics, the word multiverse normally refers to one of three distinct and largely unrelated proposed physical models for the universe, none of which has been tested or confirmed by experiment, by the way. The three multiverse models are Type 1, bubble universes or baby black hole universes. This is the most straightforward kind of multiverse. The basic idea is that perhaps there are other parts of the universe which are so far away that we will never see them, or are inside black holes, so similarly we will never see them. This kind of model was created as an attempt to explain why our universe is so good at making stars and galaxies and black holes and life. As the argument goes, if each of these separate mutually unseeable bubbles in the universe had slightly different laws of physics, then by definition we could only exist in one that had the right physical laws to allow us to exist. Like, we have to live in a universe where the Earth could form, because if the Earth couldn't form, then we couldn't be here. If you're not convinced by this logic, don't worry too much. There's not yet any experimental evidence for this kind of multiverse. Multiverse Type 2. Membranes and extra dimensions. Inspired in part by the inability of the mathematics of string theory to predict the right number of dimensions for the universe we observe, string theorists proposed the idea that perhaps what we think of as our universe is actually just a three-dimensional surface embedded within a larger super-universe with 9 spatial dimensions. Kind of like how each page of a newspaper is its own two-dimensional surface embedded within our three-dimensional world. And of course, if space had 9 dimensions rather than 3, there'd be plenty of space for other three-dimensional surfaces that appeared, like ours, to be universes in their own right, but, like the pages of a newspaper, were actually part of a bigger whole. These kinds of surfaces are called membranes, or branes for short, and as a reminder, there is not yet any experimental evidence for this kind of multiverse. Multiverse Type 3, the many worlds picture of quantum mechanics. Surprisingly, physicists still don't fully understand how the collapse of the wave function in quantum mechanics happens, and the many worlds hypothesis makes an attempt at explanation by proposing that every possible alternate timeline for the universe is real, and they all happen in an ever larger, ever-branching way. Like a universal choose-your-own-adventure where every possible story happens. If this were the case, we might not realize it because we'd be stuck living out just one of the infinitely many possible lives available to us. In some ways, Many Worlds is similar to the bubble multiverse model by proposing maybe anything that can happen does, and we just happen to exist in the series of happenings that were necessary for us to exist. If you're still not convinced by this logic, don't worry, there's not yet any experimental evidence for this kind of multiverse. Of course, if you want to get imaginative, you could also combine several of these models together into a multi-multiverse, a new super speculative model based itself on speculative and experimentally unconfirmed models. But that's not to say that we couldn't test these multiverse hypotheses. For example, if our observable universe were really just one of many disconnected bubbles or membranes, and if it happened to collide with another bubble or membrane sometime in the past, then that collision would certainly have had some sort of effect on what we see when we look up at the night sky. On the other hand, the many worlds interpretation might be tested fairly soon, since experimentalists are becoming increasingly able to manipulate and control ever larger quantum mechanical systems in their labs, systems that approach the line between the quantum realm and our everyday experience. So as always, we must remember that physics is science, not philosophy, and in our attempts to explain the universe that we observe, we have to make claims that can in principle be tested, and then test them.
There we go. So you see, that's super confusing. Like, I was reading the comments as as the video was playing, and Wes said, "Oh man, this is hurting my brain. Luckily, there's photos." Yeah, I to prep for this episode, man, I was so lost. I had no idea. I mean, my little physics background did not help whatsoever. And I
Yeah,
mean,
that video was probably the most rudimentary kind of like, oh geez, not again. High school physics video I've ever seen on parallel universes. It had pictures, it had everything, and even then, it still confused. It confused me, and it confused the actual scientist over
the
here.
scientist, dude. So like, okay, so the thing is, when it comes to um parallel universes, and I mean, we'll go into this a little bit later, but similar to how we did the episode on time traveling, it's very theoretical based, and when it comes to theoretical physics, man, it's impossible. Oh no, you can see there's a special shout out to McDonald's and Bill's Dinner,
Yes,
but
in a
but
parallel universe, I would be eating salad.
actually true. That's actually accurate. But yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, I think a lot of people look at the recent movies, whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Doctor Strange. I think the idea of um, what the multiverse is, I think it kind of blurs the lines from what people actually think the multiverse actually is. Like if you look at let's see, what's the most recent movie? Well, actually no, I think Spider-Man kind of does it really good justice, in the sense that you do have these different timelines where you're not necessarily, well, this is how I see it, you're not necessarily the same person, but maybe you look different, but it's someone who is basically you in a way. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
All right.
What do you think?
So there's two different trains of thoughts when it comes to parallel universes. So what I believe is mostly the same as what you believe, where there are there are different versions of you in these parallel universes that are you, but a different version of you with different possibilities made by different decisions you make. But there's another train of thought. There's another school of thought where you have different dimensions,
Yeah.
which could be seen as also different universes, which are parallel to ours.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who want to understand and want to believe in parallel universes think it's like you are exactly that person that you are in this universe, but you're actually not. So yeah, we'll go even deeper in depth when I try to explain. I'll do my best to re-explain it, but basically, you could just be you, but you don't look like you, but sort of everything about you is the same, but it's also, you don't look physically the same. And yeah, I mean, what the clerk says on YouTube, the Marvel multiverse explanation is the easiest to understand.
It
Yeah,
is.
to a certain extent, I think with Spider-Man it did a good job, and with Doctor Strange, I would say sort of is a pretty good representation of what it is. But yeah, let me try to, and I'll say try to really explain some of the hypothesis of what happens. So when this sort of started with the Big Bang, what what they believe is that when the Earth is expanding, I mean not the Earth, the universe is expanding through the Big Bang. What actually happens is there's different timelines. So when the Big Bang happened, light travels at the speed of light, which is still fast, but in the vacuum of space, it's really, 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 really long and big. So what happens is over the time, there are maybe early versions of Earth and maybe earlier planets who possibly could have had life on that planet. But over time, as life started expanding and the universe started expanding even more, you have multiple planets, and over time that kind of folds in on each other, or not the planets, but uh, these atoms or areas of the universe sorts of fold in on each other, and that sort of creates a new Big Bang, and that creates another universe. So within that universe, you could have multiple planets of similar experiences or similar things, where maybe there's a Earth 2.5 or Earth 21, 19, 18 if you're a Marvel fan. So it's a big thing to wrap your mind around it, and honest to God, man, it's definitely not something that I would want to go into academia to understand, because it's
No,
insane.
please no. It will be an entire lecture on its own. It would be like a 6-part lecture.
Yeah, it's not something that you can grasp overnight, and I think the easiest explanation for actually no, I'll save this for later. Bill, you said you had some stories about, well, what's it called? Because there was a question here that kind of reminded me of that. Ivan asked, is there a portal to other dimensions, universes?
Okay, yep. Now we're getting back on track with the Fringe instead of the science. Well, on the Fringe is about science, but less boring science.
Wow.
So, one of the other underlying theories behind the multiverse that cryptozoologists have always said, like, hey, there might be creatures or entities from different dimensions that cross into our dimension temporarily and are visitors. So these entities find little portals or accidentally cross into our plane of existence. So, for example, a 2-dimensional being coming into our 3-dimensional world would look like almost unobservable to us, but they would be able to observe us. In the same light, a 4th-dimensional being into our plane of existence would be observable to us, but they may or may not be able to observe us. Back and forth, back and forth. So,
okay, you lost me. Try that again.
do I have to try it again? Do I really have to try it again?
I am so confused.
Okay, so we'll talk about the hierarchy of dimensions here. We'll talk about the hierarchy of dimensions, where 1-dimension, 2-dimensional things. So 2-dimensional things are basically like flat paper. You draw a 2D drawing, things like that. Entities of that nature. 3-dimensional beings, kind of like us, what we are here on this plane. We can touch, feel, squishy bits, and we're round. Some of us more round than others. And a 4th-dimensional being is something that is only really theorized. We're not super sure what it is, because it's not something that we can very easily observe or really understand when we do see it.
Right.
But when they see us, it'll be something. Most likely, they would assume that we're the cryptids, not them.
Okay. So I mean, what you're basically saying is it could be, I mean, this is kind of a crossover, but it could be that what people deem as ghosts or spirits or supernatural things, they could actually be from separate dimensions that maybe just sort of show up in ours or enter basically like a back door.
Yep, exactly. Interesting footnote. One of the more popularized theories that has come out of the whole interdimensional beings visiting our space is through the back doors.
Right.
So back doors was originally an internet kind of scare,
Like a creepy pasta kind of thing.
a creepypasta thing.
Yeah.
But recently it has grown into more of a, hey, people have actually said, like, I've seen or visited a place that is very similar to the back doors. And the premise behind the back doors is little tunnels. It's a space where it's an infinite maze of rooms that if you fall into and get lost, you are trapped there. And it's a convergence of different beings and different like dimensions.
Right. So it's, I mean, I think I saw a comment earlier too, something about Rick and Morty, and I think that kind of gave me that idea. Like it's yeah, like there's this sort of room where it's an interdimensional travel thing where you see all these kind of weird things.
Hey guys, we're not talking about that back door. We're talking about a different back door.
But yeah, I mean, actually, Jill Chong on YouTube asked, "Could God be the fourth dimension?" Well, I think when you talk about dimensions, I don't know, but I think it's sort of different from multiverses or parallel universes, right? Like,
It could be. It could be rounded to quite a few cryptids that we see,
mhm,
and also it could be linked to different parallel universes and different multiverses as well, because
mhm,
dimensions would fall under parallel universes, I would think.
right. I mean, because Sean said on Facebook, time is the fourth dimension, which I guess would make sense. Because I mean, similar to what I was explaining earlier with the Big
But
Bang, it kind of goes back and forth. Like you could be maybe set
think about
in an
this premise,
earlier
right?
time.
Think
Yeah.
about this premise. Going back to could God be the fourth dimension?
Mhm.
Biblically speaking, the descriptions of angels with wheels, many eyes, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Basically, super asymmetric, strange, multi-headed beings. Doesn't follow the general rules of our universe of what like a creature should or could exist to be. Fourth
Mhm.
dimension, different.
Yeah.
Or maybe we are only able to observe part of the being. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think this also ties into sort of portals and probably a separate episode on portals. But I think, like for example, with time travel, parallel universes, portals, I think they're all very similar one way or another. To kind of, I think they're always playing along the lines of time is the sort of the factor, or just like a different dimension, right? So I mean, even Ivan was asking, is the Bermuda Triangle a portal to another universe? Now, I mean, we didn't do an episode on teleporting, but well, I think we've mentioned it something earlier, like if you're talking about port keys on, like in Harry Potter, like port keys are certain objects or areas that could basically transport you through time/space.
So here's a very interesting thing, right? About the theory behind the back rooms and the theory behind getting into the back rooms is that you don't go there by going to a specific place. It is a mental state you go into,
Hmm.
and your being gets transported there.
Right.
So in a way, it's a little bit like having a sleep paralysis episode where
Mhm.
your mind is busy thinking about like the different things, and you're paralyzed, you don't know what's going on, and if you ever had sleep paralysis, it is the most terrifying experience you've ever had.
I can't say I have though. Actually, have you had
I've
one?
had it once, and it's probably my one and only supernatural experience, and it was so freaky because both my other housemates also had the same experience on that day.
Oh yeah, this is the one that you told us like the first time we went on Friday Night Live, right?
Yep. It is
Right.
so freaky, so scary, and we never had that experience again. But thankfully, I do not want to have that experience again.
And it's funny because I'm looking at the chat, and actually, people are bringing up quite a lot of names that are. I mean, they're big proponents. Okay, whether they're big proponents of parallel universes or not, I think there is a line to some extent. For example, I think Frankie said Carl Sagan actually was a proponent of it. I think a lot of theoretical physicists, whether we're talking about Stephen Hawking, if we're talking about even Carl Sagan or any of the other big ones, I think it's always a topic that everybody kind of talks about. But the problem with saying that parallel universes are real is in science, there is this thing where you need to, first of all, you need to observe it. And you can't really observe a parallel universe. I mean, there's no, right now in our paradigm, there's no way that we can actually do it.
Wait, that's not true. That's not true at all.
How do you think how are we observing a parallel universe?
Hey, like, oh gosh, more likes. Jeez.
I mean, the thing is,
How do we observe light? How
Yeah.
do we observe the course of light? Because by observing light, we fundamentally change it. So we have to look for signs around it that it happens.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at it from the scientific method, one thing is you can't really right now with where science is, we can't explain it. I mean, first of all, we can't observe it. There's no real way to observe it. Then there's no way to sort of experiment it and test it. And the only thing so far that I feel like this is probably the most, I would say, believable slash understandable thing in the whole parallel universe thing is actually Schrodinger. Now, for those that don't know, Schrodinger's cat theory was basically saying that if you put a cat in a box, right, and next to that box you had, first of all, you had a radioactive atom that over time will decay or not, and under that it's connected to this hammer that will drop on basically a bottle of extra radioactive or basically poisonous gas, right? So if it decays, it will smash that glass and then the cat will die. If it doesn't decay, it doesn't trigger the hammer and therefore the cat survives, right? See, and in theoretical physicists, what they believe is that from outside, from the observer's point of view, with the box being closed, the cats can exist in both states, both as an alive cat and also dead cat, because it's largely dependent on whether there's decay in the atom or not. And the only time you can actually confirm that is when the box opens. And that's the interesting part about how things actually sort of split, and actually things can exist in two different states, but not at the same time. So basically what I mean by that is sort of, if you look at Schrodinger's cat, right? When you're not in the box, you have no idea what's going on. And there's two options. The option of whether the cat dies or survives. And I think this is the only thing where I would say multiverses or parallel universes kind of makes sense. So you can see, like, even in this photo, right? Each Earth or each point in time, there's two decisions that you could make. And depending on the decision, makes it sort of creates two versions of you, and every time that expands and expands and expands. But whether it's a physical thing where there is sort of this split in the timeline, I'm not sure if it's a real physical thing, or rather it's more of a theoretical, and it's a mental masturbation kind of mindset kind of thing. That's how I would see it.
So what's essentially happening is that if we try and observe it, it will change. it will set in stone what we observe. So we
Yeah.
pick one based on our observation. So if we observe, we'll pick one option out of the two.
Yeah, so you can only prove one once the box is open. And I think if you're gonna if somebody tries to explain it in like the real life, like let's say, I mean the video kind of did it pretty good. It's, you know, like you're maybe dating a girl or a guy, and then you guys are in love, or you guys could break up. And it's only the
Yep.
only possible truth is when one of them happens, right? And when one of them happens, then the timeline sort of splits. And it's always, I think, kind of the if this happens, this happens, you know what I mean? And it's all just sort of in the head, in the mind of like how you want to explore it, but the only truth is when it actually happens.
So here's the thing, right? In science, there are things that fundamentally, when we observe, when we are able to record it, it changes.
Yeah.
Going back to high school physics here, you know, light particles travel in waves and lines. If we observe it, they travel in lines. If we don't observe it, we can calculate that they travel in waves. We know it to be true because it has been tested, it has been measured. In terms of parallel universes and dimensional, like multiverses and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I would say same deal applies. We have to look for traces of it. We have to look for signs left behind by maybe even certain events. Do you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Quite a few of the chat have put out some entities on here. So things like doppelgangers, things like shapeshifters, even like mythological creatures like elves, fairies, and stuff like that.
or Loch
That
Ness.
seem to just disappear when people try and find them.
I need
That
to
just
say,
melt.
on Facebook, Sean Coe, are you a quantum physicist? Because you're getting a lot of things that I meant to say but I didn't say, like superposition. That's basically the state where two things exist in once. And even like when you even when you observe or measure a quantum particle in the wave function will collapse, and then therefore what the result that you get is what you measure. See, that's things I meant to say, but goddamn, no, I don't remember it. Oh, you have an astrophysics background. I have an astrobiology.
Oh, there you
background.
go.
That's a slight difference. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. It's I think it's those sort of events where, you know, you just have to debate whether or not something actually is feasible, I guess, in the real world, or is it more of a if, or like really just a mental exercise, right? Even if you look at, for example, let's say world peace. Ideally, I think a lot of people would like that, you know, but in reality, would it be exactly the thing that we, you know, is it even feasible or is it even possible? So I don't know. I think it's
Wow, Matt. Really
bringing it
enthusiastic there
home,
on world peace.
dude. I mean,
It is possible. There's
I'm
only
all
one
for-
option for it.
I'm all for world peace, but man, damn,
It
everybody's
is possible. There's only one option for it.
What?
It's when aliens start coming down and start trying to fight humanity, and then we all go, humans number one, and band together and go, hey, Xenos, bad, get off our planet.
And then we
And
fight.
we all have a
them.
Will Smith moment.
So, I mean, it's I don't know, man. Like this episode on parallel universes is so insane. Like, I've never tried so hard to understand something in my life. I think that's also
Frankie,
why
I can't stop. I've said like, so I gotta take a sip.
that's also why I think I stopped studying physics, man. It's too much. Biology is the way to go, dude. Ivan says on some universes might have a certain creature to be normal, but to one universe is not. So maybe to us, things look like an alien or mythical creatures, and I think that makes sense. And I think this kind of ties in back to um, portals or like port keys, and like you said, even with the back doors. I think there was a story that I came across. I think it was in Peru. Um, Peru, I forgot which steps it was, but apparently one of the stories was that there's this doctor who treated a person who came from a parallel universe. This came through a door.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
no, she didn't come through a door. Sorry, she walked past his house or this cabin, and basically when she opened it, she walked in half, like only halfway. But then when she came out, or she didn't, her friends told her not to go in, so she came back out, and then she was treated because half her body was paralyzed, and they believe that because she went to the other universe or whatever, that caused her to become paralyzed on only one side.
Oh wow.
and and I think let's assume, let's just say that's a real thing, right? I think that's another issue with parallel universes, and probably why we could never go to another parallel universe, because of the same thing I was explaining or leading on to earlier with the Big Bang. Each planet, though it may be similar, the atoms act very differently according to where it is. See, like where we are right now on Earth, the atoms work a certain way, right? And they work a certain way. But if you were to go to, let's say, Mars, or I don't know, somewhere even outside of our universe, first of all, the gravitational pull is slightly different, and therefore, the atoms will basically traverse very differently. So even if we could go to a parallel universe, just that is just outside our universe, whether we'd be able to survive or not, that's a completely different thing. And that just reminded me of Rick and Morty and the episode of when they just became monsters and squishy things.
Yep. I mean, okay, so Orange Freak has been in the chat on YouTube listing out like different possibilities of what the leading theories parallel universes are meant to kind of explain.
Yeah.
So one thing that piqued my interest was time traveling humans.
Time traveling
We
humans.
will definitely something we are going to talk about in a future episode, but very briefly in this one, yeah, I really think there are quite a few cases of time traveling humans that have
Bro, we
gone
did
through
that
different
episode.
dimensions.
You weren't around. I did it with Eugene.
Oh, what? Oh, okay.
That was the
We,
one
we've
where
done
you
it already. We've done it already. All right. Have you talked about the man from a country that doesn't exist on any
Okay,
map
so
in any history with a
that was actually
passport?
yeah, that was actually something I wanted to sort of tie into this episode as well. I think we didn't really explain it. I think it was called The Man from Taured or something.
Yeah.
So basically, for those that don't understand the story or have never heard of it, The Man from Turin, accordingly, it this guy landed in Japan, right? And he was going through customs or something. And what happened is when he gave his passport was
Fuck
of
the furries. It's not.
yes, when he was abducted, that was the episode. So this guy's passport was actually of this place called Turid, and obviously, like to people of let's say our universe, they don't know where the hell Turid is. I don't even know. So when he was asked to point it out on the map, that was in it was in, let's say, our Earth's Albania, apparently,
Yeah.
and he could basically tell you everything that was like different from uh like his universe to our universe. And what happened is over time the Japanese basically had to put him in a hotel because they couldn't know where he was from. He had passports, he had traveled to different places, he had currencies from different places, but it was not in our universe. And this guy, okay, we don't know, first of all, whether it's a legit thing, because first, there is no proof. There's only like
Honestly,
hearsay stories, right? And there's no proof of whether or not it actually happened. What
yeah,
do you
but the
think?
thing is, I can't help but think that it might have happened, and there are several cases, several precedences where there have been people that come up to an airport
Hmm.
with an unknown passport of an unknown country where it should be on the map and gone, what's going on?
Yeah, but I mean, I would think I would think it's a bit more publicized than that. Like, if this shit happened today, I mean, okay, there's two things, right? Either make front news, or if I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat, I think I'm hanging out too much of you. The government's trying to cover it up.
It's definitely a map. What if you were in it today and
Yeah.
you came? So let's assume that if you go to a different parallel universe, it's not going into the back rooms, or it's not going to a different dimension. You are
Mhm.
going into a different reality
Yeah.
where languages are a little bit different, people, maps, geography is a little bit different, but it's all pretty much still Earth. So you go over there, you come up. First thing the person on the other end is gonna think there's a clerical error, there's a spelling mistake. Oh wait, I've got to call my superior. Hey, you get called into the security rooms. Hey, suddenly you're there at the airport for weeks on end, going and people are checking on you, going, "What's going on? Where are you from?" And you keep telling them, "I'm from X and X country. Why don't you let me out of the airport?"
I mean, it's happened before, but I think this is super different, right? Like, I think the other case of when this happened in our
You
universe
could
is
imagine that,
inconvenient.
right? Where you're in the interview room for maybe like a couple of days, couple of weeks, then some people take you, hey, go over to a hotel. We need more time to sort it out. You agree because hey, you come over, you're meant to be on business or a tourist. This you think there's some clerical error, even though you don't know you're from another dimension, you accept. Suddenly they put you up in
In a cage.
it well, not really a cage. Think of it like a witness protection program for interdimensional travelers, let's say.
Well, I mean, and I think Sean also led. He basically said, "Oh no, it was KK Hing." He said that somehow he managed to return on to his own dimension, meaning someone had unlocked the interdimensional traveling. See, and that's the thing. In this case, he also managed to sort of go back to where he's from. And I think there was another time that I looked at. I was researching earlier that this also happened before, but this was back in like the 18 and like the ship going days where a very similar thing happened where this dude like just like appeared out to some random port and he didn't know where he was, so he asked and he didn't know where, so they pulled out a map and he pointed like, oh, I'm from here, where there's like only 5 continents when on Earth we have 7. So
Hmm.
it's the same deal where he just ends up disappearing after a bit. So whether or not there is this interdimensional, first of all, whether it is parallel universes is still debatable. But then whether or not there's these portals in certain areas of the world, that's a completely separate episode. I think we can't even go into yet.
I think so, yeah.
What did you hear a ghost?
No, I just like was like, oh, my bathroom is like open, and I'm like, oh, I didn't open it,
Oh,
but it tends to open on its own.
somebody's come to visit you from a parallel universe. It's the pee pee poo poo man.
Nah, man, no.
The pee pee
What a
poo poo man.
strange.
It's the parallel universes. It's the parallel universe of you, but you're made of shit and pee. That's exactly where. That's exactly what it is.
I'm gonna I'm gonna close the bathroom door. I'll be right back.
Dude, are you
Distract the
terrified?
people.
Are you
I'm not
terrified?
comfortable with the door being open.
You're terrified. Yeah, man. Maybe like once you go there, you'll come back with the shit and pee version of yourself. Oh no, it's the same you. Damn it. The clerk says, "Oh, furries invaded your house. Must be the furries ban."
Honestly, I wish there was a fairy there.
Why? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oof.
Well,
Oh well.
it's so back onto parallel universes and also people from it. I think it's a way of the universe trying to rectify itself, because they know there's whenever there's a visitor, it how do I explain it in a way where
I know where you're
it
going
makes
because
sense?
no, like I
So
think it's
when you have a
I know what-
visitor in your home,
yeah.
it's nice for a while, but then once people have overstayed their welcome, it kind of gets a bit irritating. It's
I mean, I think I kind of alluded to this in the episode when I was doing time travel of Eugene, that no matter how you were to go back in time and sort of change time, right? It will always sort of fix itself. It's like a self-healing band-aid. And I think the universe and how time and space kind of work as a coalition, it always finds its own way to sort of turn it back into things working out. So, like for example, with the paradox of like if you go back in time and kill your grandfather, right? I think if let's say time travel were real or parallel universe, there will still be that time where you are still born. It's just slightly different, right?
yep.
That's why with these episodes, man, like I think next week we're gonna take a break from from these theoretical physics ones, man. I've done two so far. I've done time travel. I've done this, and my brain's a wreck. I need some, like, Sasquatch skinwalker kind of thing because that's a bit more palatable.
No, these are awesome because you know why?
Why?
Drunken Bill, when he's actually really crunk, gets very philosophical with these things.
I mean, I think that's every episode, dude. If you keep saying like all the time, it's gonna be every episode. We could be talking about we you know what? We should do an episode on furries. That would
Fuck that! They're not a cryptid. We know that they exist.
I
We know
mean,
they're observable. They're around.
well, so are apparently all the other cryptids. So why not do the what's it called? The furries. Or like the killer clowns. Or the Kraken.
We can do the
Frankie,
Kraken.
Frankie,
But
you have no
furries-
idea.
Okay, if we get invited to one of the conventions in Singapore and a couple of furries comes up to us, we'll do an episode on them. All right?
Do you what
But
are there real conventions in Singapore for furries?
not specifically for furries, but I'm sure one of the anime conventions has furry people in it.
Shit, I need to go. Dude, we need to get
What?
invited to one of these, man. Like, I'm so interested. I mean, I'm not for cosplay. I'm an anime guy. I can okay, I'm kind of a weeb.
Why are
But-
you not full cosplay? Hey,
Nah,
excuse
dude.
me,
Nah.
no hobby shaming here.
I'm not. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it myself. I'm a weeb, but I'm not gonna dress up. It's a bit much.
What? I can't believe I'm hearing this. What? I'm so insulted.
Did you dress up? Do you dress up?
If I had a dress up partner, I would.
I mean, dude, if it was Halloween, maybe I would.
Why is it different than Halloween? Why is cosplaying any different than Halloween?
Because Halloween's cool.
What?
Anyway, we're gonna try to wrap this up because I want to save maybe the last 5 to 10 minutes to kind of go through what's gonna be happening in the next few weeks and actually things that we have planned for the later season. So, Bill, wrap parallel universes up for me, and then I'll have a go. You know what?
Okay.
I'm gonna. You can think about it. I'm gonna have a go. Or do you have it?
So, two schools of thought in parallel universes. You can go different dimensions, or you can do different possibilities. Different dimensions is where interesting stuff happens, and you get weird entities coming through there. Different choices and different decisions is when you get Joe Blow from turgid with a passport and with a social security number and also an IC going, why don't you know where my country is?
That's a dimension. That's a dimension thing. So I'm gonna agree with Bill on maybe not the dimensions part. That's a bit much, but the probability part, right? Okay, I want to say that it may have seemed like I'm against parallel universes the whole time, but if you're looking at just probability as a whole and how the Big Bang works within multiple multiple universes, whether it's
By
in
the way,
our
guys, are you keeping
galaxy,
track of like the light counts?
do you just got to
Please
skull it?
tell me you are. I have
No.
no idea what's going on.
Nobody was, but anyway, there's so many universes, so many galaxy in the space that is so vast. It's sort of the same thing of like how I would understand or how I would believe that there is something else out there in the world, in the universe or galaxy, right? Because it can't be that if you're looking at it just probability, right? There are just so many options, so much chances that there is somewhere out there that maybe there's a second version of you or third version of you. I think it's possible, but whether or not we will ever know is completely like left to chance, because I don't think we're ever going to actually see it, not in our lifetime at least. So tell us what you think. Tell us on our Discord, tell us on Facebook. Try to reach out to us if you can. Tell me. I mean, you guys have so many stuff like on the live chat, so I know some of you guys are experts, so please let us know. To Bill and Matt, do you reckon aliens come from parallel universes? No, I actually think it's our universe. Yeah, as our universe is still really big. So
Hey,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
aliens are a very well accepted theory that they
yeah.
do exist somewhere out there. We don't know for sure if they visited us, but with all the stars and all the different planets out there, people have done the calculations. People much smarter than us and much more sober than us that have said, even if it's like a 0.00001% chance of life being on other planets, there is alien life. There definitely are aliens out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very well accepted theory right now in the scientific community and also in the general zeitgeist of society as a whole.
Yeah. So please let us know what you guys think. And now we're going to move into basically telling you what's going on for the next few weeks, right? KK actually asked, do you guys want to do episodes
going on?
urban legends such as Slender Man, Mothman, Bloody Mary in the future episodes? I think that's all on the Fringe. Okay, Bloody Mary is a bit of a supernatural one, but I think it can be concluded in our or part of our episodes. So please let us know. I mean, dude, I've put Skinwalker. I thought that was gonna win. I thought Skinwalker was gonna win, and apparently it didn't even get like 40%. So if you guys really want to see those options, please vote on the Facebook poll. With that being said, next week, actually the next 3 weeks, I'm actually going to be in the US, so I'm going to do my best to stream from there. And since I'm going to save this part because I'm actually going to Florida, and we have saved one particular cryptid that we want to speak on, because since I'm in the area, I mean, if you guys know what I'm talking about, you guys can sort of shout out. But because I'm in Florida, I will do my best to try to investigate, maybe hit up a museum or hit up basically, if I can, I don't know, talk to Floridian about what they have. And then, you'll see what it is. But
mate, you got to do what we said. You got to hire like 3 boatfuls of hillbillies, of Floridian hillbillies,
and then go into the Everglades, right?
Yeah, go into the
and then
Everglades and
find
hunt
it.
whatever cryptids are there.
Yeah. Okay. So Orange. Oh wait, Orange Freak. You basically got it. It was the skunk ape. So we're gonna do an episode while I'm there. I think maybe it will be after next week. But also, we've seen the chat on Discord where someone was talking about flat Earth or hollow Earth. See, we have a very big episode on that coming up. We haven't really pinpointed when, but I think it'll probably be our second month
Yes.
anniversary of the show. But we do have a flat earther that we want to bring on the show. We
Yes.
also kind of have a hollow earth person, believer.
Actually, we have a few. I thought we were gonna do like a hollow Earth versus
Yeah.
what do you mean
So
nuclear filled Earth?
we're gonna try to do probably an hour and a half long episode, because there's gonna be a lot of talking about different ideas and theories, right? So first of all, I think Bill and I, we got to go meet this person because we don't want them to basically run the show. And then for the
No,
Hollow
whatever.
Earther,
I will play D&D with this person, and we'll see how they go.
we actually have one in mind. We didn't find this out until I think it was last week or something, or 2 weeks ago, that they're at Hollow Earther. So if they don't want to come on the show, we will definitely find someone else to have on. But that's going to be a big episode and a long one because I think a lot of you guys wanted to see it.
Yes.
That topic specifically. And it's going to be a long one because, first of all, I'm going to put it out there. I don't know about Bill, but I'm a regular Earth kind of guy. I don't believe in flat Earth. I don't think it's possible. I think there's overwhelmingly too much evidence that the Earth is actually round. Bill, what are you a flat earther?
I have to look at it for a bit and make up my mind because some of the theories behind flat earthers are a bit out there, even for me. But
yeah,
I'm a very big I'm a very big advocate for the theory that that NASA did fake the
moon landing.
landings and did
okay,
fake.
No, you got to stop
the
there. We're gonna save this for that episode because I feel like we're gonna start a separate topic right now. But yeah, save that for that episode, okay?
Like no,
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of stuff. And yes, Frankie, flat earthers are gonna be slammed because I am all for sphere Earth or regular Earth, whatever you want to call it. And you know what? Just for the shits and giggles of it, before we do that episode, right? Let's put up a poll on the Facebook group and actually see what everyone thinks.
Yes, and don't forget the art competition. It's still on.
Yeah, actually, nobody sent us anything yet, guys. So if
no. We've had art submissions, right? But
you did?
Still on. Yeah. It's on the Discord.
Oh shit! I haven't been on in a while. My computer had problems. But yeah, don't forget.
I look at every single one of those and I go, all right, cool. When we think that you guys have had enough time, we're going to do a poll of all those pictures, and whoever wins that is going to get a golden statue of me with an anchor.
And also, your cryptid that you painted or drew or whatever, you're gonna have that one as well. So you're gonna have a 2-for-1, but I think the winning one will probably be the Bill with the anchor.
Yes, because that's very on brand.
All right, guys. Bill, wrap it up, and then I'll say my piece after you.
All right, parallel universes. Doorway into the unknown. Doorway into possibly a reconciliation with your ex-wife. Maybe so, maybe yes. But the truth is out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And this is On the Fringe with Bill and Matt.
All right, guys.
Hey.
That was a good wrap-up. Nice. All right. You may or may not see me next week. I'll do my best to show up. I will be slightly busy, and it's going to be the time difference is going to be insane. So until then, let us know what you think. Catch us next week, and stay on the fringes, guys. Bye.
What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.